Flooding rains and strong winds continue to plague many parts of our area. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi, my friends. Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We are your home for Caribbean weather. Hey, it's nice to see you for this latest video. Hope things are well. Coming up in this video, strong cold front has worked its way deep into the Caribbean. And with that front and our monsoon trough, we've had waves of heavy rain in the Western Caribbean, other strong winds and some gusty, blustery conditions as well. We've got your island by island forecast. Of course, look at the tropics as we move through the video. As always, Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the leading law firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. You get wind, hail, hurricane damage, have a burst pipe. They'll walk you through that insurance claim process. It's leanonmelaw.com if you guys would like more information. As always, love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comment section below what's been happening. Maybe you've been impacted by some of this strong wind and heavy flooding rains that we've had lately. As someone pointed out in yesterday's video, I am wearing long sleeves. I do live in Florida, and let me tell you something. This front has impacted us. The high today where I live was just 55 degrees Fahrenheit, or a little less than 13 degrees Celsius. I promise you, long sleeves were warranted. If you live in the Bahamas, maybe you're feeling the same way I am with the cooler weather. So what you're looking at right now is the surface wind direction and the gusts. And again, it's been a very active day here in the Western Caribbean. And the reason why, when we look at the surface analysis, our cold front has worked its way all the way into the northern sides of Central America. There is a trough or a shear line out ahead of it. We have developing gale conditions, especially in portions of the western Atlantic basin from the east side of the Bahamas all the way towards Bermuda, but very blustering conditions near that frontal boundary, which is finally beginning to stall out. But it's a focusing mechanism for what's going to continue to be very heavy rain in this area the next several days. I'm talking about portions of Quintana Roo, a lot of Central America, and even maybe areas of Cuba and the Cayman Islands as well. So the front itself here, let me swing that on just to show you guys on this map. Again, kind of elongated right here, but it's beginning to stall out. Notice as it's doing so, winds are beginning to turn a little bit more out of the east, just slightly, but it's still more of a northerly component. These have been fresh north winds across the Caribbean coastline of Quintana Roo, from Cancun and Cozumel, all the way down to coastal Belize and Guatemala and Honduras. And we've had some winds of over 30 miles an hour in places like San Pedro Sula and Roatan there in the Bay Islands of Honduras. And it's just been a very wet day. So rounds of rain. This is not going anywhere. When we add it all up, we are likely to see 4, 6, 8 additional inches of rain, or up to 200 plus millimeters in some locations over just the next few days. And this is an area that I'm concerned about for the opportunity for continued flooding and flash flooding. Henry, who lives in Guanaja there in the Bay Islands of Honduras, sent in this video from today. He said, Rusty, it's been very windy, it has been very wet, and the rain has been pretty much nonstop. So you can see the wet conditions there in the Bay Islands from Guanaja. Henry, I appreciate you sending in that video to help tell the weather story in your area. And I got to tell you something, nothing is going to change anytime soon. Now, south of this boundary, where we actually have even more moisture-laden air and more of an onshore flow, the rain is really beginning to pick up southeast Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. And it's these areas that will also continue to see the opportunity for some heavy rainfall and some isolated to maybe more significant flooding down the road as well. Again, we have our monsoon trough and our CAG, or Central American gyre. That's the broad spin here in the Central American area this time of the year. It can get pretty active towards the end of hurricane season, and we're seeing that for today. Now back up towards the Cayman Islands, again, it's just been fairly wet. Brisk north winds. Grand Cayman had an over 30 mile an hour wind gust, Little Cayman 25. And again, I remind you that these are northerly winds, so temperatures aren't outrageously warm. They're just in the upper 70s there across the Cayman Islands, and even some lower 70s in portions of the northwest sides of Quintana Roo, even Havana today with the north wind, the temperature dropping back into the upper 60s. So this is a very impactful area. It's very widespread. Showers and storms will continue, even as far east as Jamaica. Now, as I mentioned in yesterday's video, guess what? The strong wind and large wave advisory back up for the coastal and offshore waters of the southern side of the island. Again, we're a little bit warmer here for today. The front is just off towards your north, with scattered showers beginning to develop. Thankfully, they haven't been very widespread. Once again, this is an area that is still going to be, dealing with the ramifications from Melissa on the western side of the island for days and weeks and months to come. So we don't want any heavy rain to lead to additional flash flooding. We need a few showers and storms here to obviously help out the water table on a couple of the central and eastern sides of the island. But overall, again, it's been relatively quiet. Now let's follow our front back into the Bahamas. And again, brisk north winds all day long. I'm going to take off the wind field here just so it's a little bit easier to see, not as much information on. But look at these temperatures, guys. Right now, the temperature in the Freeport-Lucaya area in the mid 60s Fahrenheit with very dry air. Even Andros and Nassau, New Providence highs today right around 70 degrees. Now look, from time to time near this boundary, certainly we've had some strong winds and we've had the opportunity for a couple of passing showers. The air is drying out a bit and you can see those thin high clouds up towards the Abacos and Walker's Key, but there's a little bit more mid-level cloudiness from the central Bahamas to the southeast Bahamas, even Turks and Caicos, and it's underneath some of those clouds that we've actually had a couple of showers today. As you guys know, have the live cameras here at Meteo Mundo to help tell the weather story. This is from Long Island in the central Bahamas, the White House area. This is an area that has had some passing showers. Now, the bark is worse than the bite, right? There's not a ton of heavier rain here, but there's been just enough lift in the atmosphere with some of these mid-level clouds to produce some showers for today. Breezy conditions. There is a gale warning across the Bahamas. Listen, boaters need to be very cautious the next day or two here in the Bahamas, especially in the exposed waters of the Atlantic. Some swells will be into the double digits here, but it's the winds that are going to be a big story here. And obviously that kicks up sea conditions. These are the wind gusts at the hour. So Andros had a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust, San Salvador about a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust as well. Now you follow this boundary to Bermuda. Behind this cold front, they've had winds of over 45 miles an hour for today. They had some brisk showers and even a few rumbles of thunder that moved through. It's drying out, but the winds are quite fresh, to say the least, there in Bermuda. An area that's relatively quiet today, which is great news, is our friends in Haiti and the Dominican Republic across the island here of Hispaniola. Again, just a couple of isolated showers in portions of Haiti, but not expecting it to produce locally heavy rain. And that's the thing. We can deal with a couple of showers. We just don't want the heavier activity. The farther east that you go in the Caribbean, things have been quieter for today. Weak high pressure is building back in. Now, we still have blustery winds from time to time, and we still have some passing showers, but generally speaking, from Puerto Rico to the Virgin Islands and all of the Lesser Antilles, it's many dry hours and locations. Again, fresh winds from time to time. Christian said St. Croix had about a 25-mile-an-hour wind gust earlier. San Juan, right around a 25 as well. So fresh breezes, shallow moisture, some scattered showers. Noting that in Anguilla and St. Martin, that's had a 25-mile-an-hour wind gust today, and St. Bart's and Sabas, St. Eustatius, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, some passing clouds from time to time, but more sunshine than anything else. And Montserrat's enjoyed a nice day. Guadalupe and Dominica. Now look, these areas will still have moderate rain chances for the next few days ahead, but I'm not anticipating any of that to be on the exceptionally heavier side over the next few days as we head towards the weekend. Same situation for St. Lucia. There is a marine advisory for Barbados. We're going to start to see some swells kick in, and from time to time they could be elevated, but nothing outrageous. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, and even right now we've had some passing clouds and a few showers over TNT. Tobago has had a 30-mile-an-hour breeze, but even the showers today have been more localized than anything else, and it's been an absolutely beautiful afternoon for our friends in the ABC Islands. Now, before I get there, I forgot we have our live camera in Corinth, St. Lucia, so I got to show you guys that. Folks there at the resort looking off to that sunset as we look west, and why not? Again, more sun than clouds today, certainly some drier weather. Now, the ABC Islands, an area desperate for some rain that hasn't seen a lot. And another beautiful late afternoon here from the Eagle Beach area, Oranjestad. We're panning this camera, looking mainly off kind of to the south and to the west, the way the island's oriented, but we're trying to pan back to the north here just a little bit more. Again, winds still a story here, but overall it's been quite a lovely afternoon. So now we're going to get into your forecast and the tropical outlook as well. As always, friends, I do appreciate you guys taking a quick second to hit that like button for me. It does help out the channel more than you think. Thank you for getting us to 70,000 subscribers. My heartfelt thank, whether you're the first subscriber or the 70,000th, I appreciate you guys, each and every one of you guys. Hit that subscribe button for me. Thank you for sharing this channel with your family and friends. Appreciate those who are also members of the channel and have found ways to support the channel via our membership. So you guys are awesome. Okay, so back out to the broad perspective here. We're going to talk about now the next few days, go island by island, and then get into the tropics. Still concerned here, again, with the boundary stalling out, the opportunity for widespread heavy rain to continue. The problem is, with the front being in place in the way that it is right now, it's just not going to allow this moisture to escape. It's not going to stream north for the most part. A little bit of that moisture could kind of pan back off towards the east, but, you know, again, monsoon trough, Central American gyre active this time of the year. This is where we do start to see heavy rain setups across portions of Central America. And again, some of that could spread into Quintana Roo and maybe as far east as the Cayman Islands, with at least some scattered showers and windy conditions over portions of Jamaica. So let's get into what it looks like over the next couple of days here. So I'm going to loop this up for you guys. Now, again, you can clearly see that, you know, when I'm looking at things in the models and in the longer term over the next few days, the area of greatest concern for me right now is going to be northern Honduras. So places like San Pedro Sula, La Ceiba, and the Bay Islands, Roatan, Utila, Guanaja, I think is the area with the best opportunity for the most significant rain. Other areas like the rest of Honduras and portions of Nicaragua, Guatemala, Belize, and the southern and southeastern sides of Quintana Roo all have that opportunity as well. But looking at the models, these are the spots that could get, again, an additional 4 to 8 plus inches of rain. That will lead to some flooding issues. We'll just have to see how it works out. Obviously, check in with your local government and local officials, and I'll keep you guys updated. But a wet flooding forecast. Now, obviously, if some of this rain gets into some of the higher terrain areas of Central America, that's going to add to some of the additional problems. And also, we're just going to have steady rainfall for portions of Panama and Costa Rica to continue the flood threat there as well. Now, the Cayman Islands will have the best rain chance over the next couple days with very breezy conditions. The winds not going anywhere, fresh winds 15, 25 miles an hour with some higher gusts. You get east towards Jamaica and it is more isolated. Would expect the strong wind and large wave advisory to continue. So for fishermen and mariners of the southern coastal and offshore waters, Pedro and Morant Banks, just keep that in mind. Again, swells will likely be several meters in height. So be very cautious out there over the next couple of days because the winds, you know, aren't going anywhere despite the fact the rain chances may not be too significantly high. Now, the boundary will ultimately fade out as it stalls. That will still aid to some rain in the central and southeast Bahamas and Turks and Caicos and Cuba the next couple days. Just underneath the stalled boundary, there will be some scattered showers and maybe even just some light rainfall from time to time. And the winds will be strong Wednesday and then die out a little bit on Thursday and Friday. Generally speaking, we'll have drier air up north for the northwest Bahamas. So New Providence and Walker's Key and Grand Bahama likely to just see isolated showers at best. Scattered to isolated rain for Hispaniola as well. Best chance is likely to be on Wednesday, but might hold on to a decent rain chance for Thursday. Nothing is very organized or concentrated. And hopefully these showers, just like areas east, I expect to move pretty quickly in and out of one area. We just don't need a lot of rain in one spot here, especially again over Haiti, where the flooding from Melissa was astronomical. Again, still a lot of isolated areas because of the flooding and the roads that are washed out there. Scattered rain over Puerto Rico, Vieques and Culebra, and St. Croix and St. Thomas and St. John, Anegada and Virgin Gorda and Yost Van Dyke and Tortola, all with moderate rain chances the next few days. That's the forecast I have for the rest of the Lesser Antilles as well. We might see a slightly better rain chance in the northern areas for the Leeward Islands, you know, Anguilla and Antigua and Barbuda and the other islands you see on the map right here, but 40-50% chance in most areas at best. And again, this is more kind of nuisance rain than anything else. The fresh winds will be out there, high surf advisories from time to time, but nothing that's going to really stop you from getting outdoors, even getting on the water as well. From the Guadalupe area south to Dominica and Martinique, it's moderate rain chances, and then more isolated for St. Lucia and Barbados, SVG, Grenada, T&T, Nueva Esparta, and the ABC Islands as well. A series of troughs coming in behind our first cold front will continue to bring some fresh winds and some sporadic rain chances for our friends in Bermuda over the next few days. So this is what it looks like for you guys, island by island. Again, really limited rain chance for the northwest Bahamas, scattered to isolated for the central and southeast, Same situation for Turks and Caicos right on through Friday. Cuba's rain chances are decently high, especially on the western side of the island. And again, a little bit cool, a little bit breezy as well. It's the same situation for the Cayman Islands. As long as you guys have that north wind, you might struggle to get up to around 80 degrees Fahrenheit for a daytime high. That's just 27 degrees Celsius, my friends. 60% chance for rain tomorrow, 40 on Thursday, Friday. Elevated rain chances with some potential flooding for Belize and Guatemala and Honduras. Cancun and Cozumel, you get that far north, it's more scattered. Again, you're north of the boundary there. North winds, but is it the best beach weather for Cancun and Cozumel? No, probably not, especially with the temperatures. 40% chance for showers in Jamaica tomorrow, but the rain chances should fade through Friday. That's good news. Dominican Republic is 50 tomorrow, 40 Thursday, Friday. Puerto Rico kind of bobbles back and forth, but the best chance of rain is going to be on your Wednesday. And then the U.S. and British Virgin Islands stay with a moderate rain chance. Again, Bermuda's rain chances increase again starting on Thursday and Friday. Very fresh, potentially near gale conditions as far as winds go around the island. Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis, 60% chance for showers for your Wednesday. Fast moving showers, 40 to a 50% chance on Thursday. You'll see those kind of rain chances for Antigua and Barbuda as well. That's because they're just kind of out there sticking out on the eastern side, but you get towards Montserrat and Guadeloupe and rain chances will fall a little bit more. And then just generally speaking, the farther south you go across the island chain, rain chances will be lower. So more moderate chances the next couple of days north, more isolated even tomorrow, St. Lucia, SVG, Barbados, Grenada, T&T. Doesn't mean we're completely dry. Winds will kick up things from time to time on the water, so keep that in mind, but not any real concentrated rain through Friday. Suriname and Guyana, I will say, with isolated shower chances, and we're desperate for a couple of showers in places like Nueva Esparta in the ABC Islands. So again, it's not fantastic in the western Atlantic basin near this boundary, stalled out as well. This is the short term, and look at all the greens and yellows on that map deep into the central Caribbean. That's why Jamaica has that strong wind and large wave advisory, 8, 10 to 12 foot waves from time to time. And it's not just the exposed waters here. You could have some near shore as well, and even fresher. Again, Bermuda right now getting hammered with some of those fronts and troughs coming off. Now, rain is going to be the most widespread potential significant impacts, right? Again, because the front is so strong, you notice the rain can't go any farther north. Like basically the cutoff line is Cancun and Cozumel. So Tulum areas and the Chetumal areas south, that's the most significant rain chance, including all of Central America. And then that kind of narrow swath off towards the east as the boundary stalls, portions of Cuba, southeast Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. If you look on this map, which is in inches, you're going to see a lot of spots in the 8, 10, 12 inch range. When I take myself off camera, the maximum on this map is 21 inches. Now that is going to be in South America, but there are some areas of Central America that are in the 10 to 12 inch rainfall. And we look at the European model in millimeters for these areas for the next week ahead. You're going to see some spots here in the 200, 250, and 300 millimeter maximum. So take a look at where you are. This is going to be your rainfall totals over the next week in millimeters. 25 millimeters is 1 inch. So 200 millimeters is 8 inches of rain. So very significant rain along the Caribbean coastline from southern sides of Quintana Roo all the way down to Costa Rica and Panama. And again, a little bit of a bullseye there. Coastal Honduras, the Bay Islands, which could again have more than 8 inches of rain. That's the biggest concern. Even portions of the Cayman Islands could get into multiple inches of rain over the next few days. This is what it looks like on the GFS model. So that was the European. And I showed you guys this yesterday because again, with the GFS here, I'm able to query the points. And this, I'm just taking you out 5 days. And so to have the model and multiple, both the GFS and the European, paint on extremely significant potential rainfall totals in these areas, more than 10 inches of rain, more than a foot of rain in Utila, right? That's what, more than 300 millimeters of rain. That's the spots. La Ceiba included in this. Again, portions of coastal Belize. You get inland, you're doing a little bit better. You get north of the boundary. Look how quickly the cutoff is, right? The Tulum area, not much. I mean, Cancun may just see some very light spotty showers. It's all south of the frontier. and then you follow the coastline all the way back down to Costa Rica and Panama. And again, additional extremely significant rainfall totals the next few days. We're trying to keep some of the biggest rain out of Jamaica, especially on the western side of the island. We can handle a ½ inch of rain the next few days. That's not going to cause any additional problems. Farther west for Grand Cayman, again, multiple inches of rain possible, and probably a little bit more isolated for Little Cayman. And then there's that swath. Look, the European and the GFS models are very much in agreement with this rainfall potential in the areas. It's the same Southeast Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, along that stalled boundary where we could have additional areas for a few inches of rain there. Okay, back out to the GFS and just taking you back out to the tropical outlook here real quick. Now again, active weather, Western Caribbean, stalled boundary, monsoon trough, Central American gyre. So the question is, does any low-level center try to develop? I've been mentioning this now for about a week or so, and this is the time of the year where we watch for the Western Caribbean with that. The models have backed off that potential for the most part. And again, the deeper into November that we go, the less of an opportunity. Now, that doesn't mean that, again, this is not significant rainfall that is likely to develop. It's just what happens with any low-level centers. Do we try and get something wrapped up where wind becomes a potential bigger issue if you get, a weak tropical depression or a weak tropical storm? So when we look at that again, the GFS was trending closer to any area developing being either in the Pacific or right along the coastline where it never fully develops. Again, these are really fresh winds. Your purples and your pinks here, sustained winds 20, 25, 30 miles an hour, but nothing looks very organized here. Again, you do get a couple of little spins, right? You do get a couple of little spins, but nothing that really sticks out to me. I'll continue to monitor it, but the farther we go into November, the less and less of an opportunity that this becomes anything of significance, right? But the problem is, if I go back over to the reflectivity here, is just the fact that regardless of that, there's a lot of green. As soon as this pops back up, a lot of green and yellow and orange and red on this map, just indicative of the amount of rain that is likely to continue to fall in these areas. When we look at the ensemble members of the GFS, same situation. You'll see a couple of pop up in the Eastern Pacific, a few in the far southwest sides of the Caribbean, but nothing outrageously strong. Very weak areas, if nothing else, and that takes you through mid next week, so not a high concern there. European model will do the same thing. It'll develop a couple of areas here on the southwest side of the Caribbean. Some of those will try and sneak back into Costa Rica and Panama. Others will stay just offshore, but all these are very weak areas. What I would expect to see if there was a higher chance in the models for actual tropical development is, pressures below 1,000 and farther off the coastline, really beginning to tap into what is still very warm waters here in the western side of the Caribbean. Now, the front that came through today will have some impacts to temperatures in the far northwest Caribbean, but where this is trying to develop, sea surface temperatures are still 28, 29, and even 30 degrees Celsius. It's still an area to monitor, but we're getting deeper into November. The chance is just beginning to get less and less. Friends, I appreciate you guys. Of course, you can follow us across all of our social media platforms. We're on Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook. You want to send me a picture or video like Henry did to tell the weather story in your area? Well, the easiest way to do that, it's myMediaMundo@gmail.com. You have a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. Please remember that Media Mundo is sponsored by the Lane Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They offer free consultation and policy reviews, so you literally have nothing to lose. If you want to check them out, let them walk you through that insurance claim process. It's leanomnelaw.com for more information. Friends, I appreciate you finding enough out of this channel to spend part of your day with me. Thanks so much for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you tomorrow with your latest forecast right here at Media Mundo.